again. This is Nair.
And this is Farce.
And we are Perspeculative. And we are doing another segment of Hate to Great.
Yep, and today we're starting off with everyone's favorite emo full demon, half-brother of famous hero Inuyasha, and that would be his brother Sesshomaru.
And of course, as you all likely know, Sesshomaru starts off as literally the bad guy. He is the villain, and it's not really clear why he's so against his brother and just mean. Even to his workers, he's unkind. He's just very strict and doesn't seem to have feelings, especially those of a positive nature. I mean, he is not human. He is a demon, but that doesn't necessarily mean he can't have feelings, but it's more understandable.
Yeah. Well, and Sesshomaru, as he's depicted in the show, doesn't really seem to value human life at all. And I think that's part of it. He sees Inuyasha as almost afflicted with his humanity, with the human half. He looks down on him because he is less of a person in Sesshomaru's eyes, which becomes increasingly disturbing as things go on because he is so awful to people in general, and even his own henchmen are only like slightly above humans in his eyes, and he doesn't really view them with any kind of respect.
Exactly. I think part of it probably too is favoritism, that like with all siblings, right? Any seeming favoritism makes for rivalry between the siblings, and he, as the full demon, is obviously the better son, right? Of course. But their dad still really liked Inuyasha and gave him certain special treatments, like the sword. You know, he's like, why didn't I get the really good sword that can kill lots of people? Obviously, that's the better sword, and I should have had it because obviously I am the stronger, better son. What the fuck? You know what I mean?
Right. But as the series goes on, minor character spoilers, I guess, like personality spoilers. But their dad definitely had a soft spot for humans and genuinely cared about humanity overall, and I think he wanted to partly embolden both his sons in the aspects he wanted them to have, wanting his youngest son to have more power in order to keep himself alive in a world that would fight him, and his older son, he wanted to give him a taste of humanity by giving him a weapon that's so antithetical to his personality.
Some goddamn compassion, some empathy, really.
Yeah, Sesshomaru's sword is imbued with the power to heal people, and at more powerful levels can even resurrect the recently dead, to an extent.
But going back to his bad side here, because we didn't really show how much. I mean, he literally tries to kill Inuyasha and doesn't give two shizzes about his friends or anybody else who's collateral damage just to get the sword that his dad gave him, even though he can't use it, which he finds out to the cost of an arm.
Yeah.
And it's just, he's just so, he's not nice at all. Family doesn't matter. The circumstance doesn't matter. All he cares about is what he thinks he's due. Period.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Which is what makes it such a shock as the series goes on, when he pretty much becomes a pseudo-father to a normal human child who he kind of acquires during his adventure.
Mm-hmm. Well, chooses to save. He doesn't just find her, but he chooses to save her, and she sticks by him, and his heart grew 3 sizes that day, except it took, the whole season or what have you. But it really opened him up to different ideas as he's watching her, learning from her, seeing, wait, I have feelings?
You mentioned his heart grew 3 sizes because he had all that extra blood because he didn't have the arm anymore.
Well, he got a replacement. Not as good, but a replacement. And as I was saying, he does really grow, and eventually he accepts what he was given from his father and understands why he did what he did and how him and Inuyasha are different, and that isn't that bad of a thing as he thought, and just kind of comes together with himself.
Yeah. I mean, it's a marginal improvement. I mean, going from, like, seeing people as literal nothing to actually treating them like people. But, I mean, any improvement's good improvement, right?
Mm-hmm. But no, maybe something controversial, not nearly as much as other things I've said on here, but Sesshomaru is pretty much my favorite character in that show. And I actually do not like Kagome and Inuyasha's relationship. Not that I'm not rooting for them or whatever. They're just, it's really messy and it's really immature, and so is Inuyasha just so much. And that's why I like his brother. Like, his brother is almost like a juxtapose. He's like his opposite, his antithesis. He is so mature and calm. And when he finds out he has those feelings, that he has empathy and that he gives a dang, he isn't like Vegeta with all this, my weaknesses, no! He accepts it. He's like, oh, this is part of me, and I'm me, and I'm awesome, obviously. So he just goes with it. And I love that about him so much, especially after having to deal with Inuyasha, who is all like, I must be a demon. I suck as a half demon, and I don't like my hair when it's human. I'm gonna pout over here. You know, the whole time. And I really like Kagome, but you know what I mean? Like, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, no matter what happens. Kikyo, yes. And no matter what happens, he's just whining. And it's so annoying because literally everybody else is more mature than he is. Little fox child, yep, more mature. Teenager from another world, more mature. Freaking perverted monk, more mature. You know, it's freaking ridiculous.
I mean, there is an argument, though, that he literally was stunted in his growth and that he was literally pinned to a tree for, like, however many 100 years. So, I mean, you can't see it, but Nair's giving me the side eye pretty hard here. But what I was going to say is I actually do agree. Again, we're going to get, like, an ocean of downvotes from the Inuyasha fans. But, yeah, no, I kind of agree. I feel like their dynamic is a little annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly do find it more compelling watching this creature that has literally no humanity learning to be a good father to a human child.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it is somewhat more compelling. And I guess given the popularity of the more recent God of War games, I guess it makes sense people do find that kind of thing very compelling, of seeing someone who is known for being brutal and violent and crazy, and just seeing them like mellow and learn to take care of another person and just be a good human being.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly there's a market for this kind of thing, you know.
And he has the best and biggest character arc. He really does, compared to everyone else.
Yeah, no, and I'd agree to that too. I find his shift is a bit more personal than Inuyasha's, I feel, where Inuyasha pretty much it's all about coming to terms with who he is. So Sesshomaru is learning about who he really is, and that's arguably, at least in my opinion, more interesting, because he sort of pulls upon this idea of becoming a better... Inuyasha's all about coming to terms with the fact that he isn't what he wanted to be in life, like physically, biologically, whatever, and Sesshomaru is all about sort of like realizing he isn't the monster he wanted everyone else to think he is, that he's not just this wolf demon that's just tearing down houses and going on psychotic rampages. He's a person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
I do want to throw that out there for you who may be getting angry, or already be angry. It's not that I'm anti Inuyasha and Kagome. I just think she's just so loyal to him. There's no question to her loving him and being there for him. And yes, he is there for her. When it comes down to it, he's there. But anytime he sees Kikyo, off he runs again. And it just hurts her, understandably. And I get really tired of it. Yes, what happened between them was really hard. And it was terrible. And it sucks. But he can't be doing that to both sides. He either needs to open up and explain what's going on, or just be like, I can't right now. You know what? Well, I guess either way that's opening up. He needs to open up. Okay? Accept himself, accept what's going on and what's happening, and love, and friendship and shit, because he is the loner. He acts like he wants to be a loner, but then he pouts about being lonely, basically. He does not want to be alone. Where Sesshomaru has people, accepts people, realizes he's treating them better than he ever expected, better than he has anyone else, and is just cool with it. Where it gives Inuyasha all these bad feelings, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I guess part of it is the fact that it's meant to be more of a romantic drama rather than an action show. And I think that kind of becomes, it's good in some areas and then makes more of a problem in others, where it's like some of the characters are, Inuyasha in particular and Kagome, like you said, they kind of have this moment of sort of growing very close, and then Kikyo is literally resurrected from the dead and kind of drives this huge wedge, and then they have to spend all this time getting close again, you know?
And while the movies are not canon, they sure make you feel it worse, because it's like, oh, they have this moment, they finally are showing how they really feel between each other, it's made clear now, and
Memory
then
erased.
Kikyo. But it's not canon, so I understand. But there are still many moments, as you all know, in the show where it is obvious that they have feelings for each other. That is Inuyasha and Kagome, and they're going to be there for each other forever and save each other and yada yada yada. And then he does something like that and just...
Yeah, it gets very old. And I've heard that's one of the more primary complaints people have about the whole series overall, is the fact that, like, the romance, they keep, like, getting thrown in, not contrived, I wouldn't call it contrived just because so much fantasy stuff happens to begin with, I can't really call it contrived, but they keep getting thrown in these situations over and over again that sort of pull them apart. And then, like, they start to grow closer and then pull them apart. And then get closer and pull them apart.
And a lot of it is his own fault. Like, yes, there are situations and everything, but... his attitude, his personality, the way he is what drives them apart. Mm-hmm. It's not just Kikyo showing up. It's his whole, I don't want to have feelings, and I want to be a full demon, and I'm Vegeta, but pathetic.
All right. I feel like we're reaching the point where we're about to start losing fans. I think we should start.
He has adorable ears. Does that help?
You heard it here first, folks. Apparently, Inuyasha has quote-unquote adorable ears.
He does. Dang it. But anyway. But yes, so point being, back to Sesshomaru, who is the star of the show. Of this segment anyway. He starts out cold-blooded killer, no feelings, doesn't really give two craps. All about me, and even those that are loyal to him doesn't mean much, really. And eventually he becomes someone who's really caring, who goes out of his way for other people who can't really do much for him except bring him weakness and humanity.
Yeah, and I think that's very much the benefit of his character. Again, Jockin, his long-suffering manservant, is basically constantly doting on him, and he's just never shown him even a remote bit of gratitude until much later in the series, when he starts to respect Jockin and how much he has to sacrifice to actually serve him.
But anyway, so that's this segment of Hate to Great with Sesshomaru, and
yep. Yeah. I think that's about all we had to say about the matter, right? All right. Well, apparently we need to go buy some dog ears now.
Instead of cat ears, dog ears. Both are cute, dang it.
We're bringing them back.